Hi, everybody. This is Suzanne Etkin, and I'm hosting this webinar on the Rainscaping track and capstone project information. My goal for the next few minutes is to give you a little bit of a deeper understanding of what you're getting into when you choose the Rainscaping track and what that Rainscaping capstone project is all about. Again, the role of the Rainscaping Watershed Steward is to really connect your community to those actions that can be taken to reduce stormwater runoff through landscape changes. So really about installing projects on property to help reduce the flow of stormwater. So it involves assessing your community, educating your community, helping your community to choose the right projects, and then connecting them to the resources to help them get those projects done. In the Rainscaping sessions, we'll have a web session and an in-person session, and there'll be some topics sprinkled throughout some of the other sessions as well. But we're going to get a little bit deeper into rain garden and conservation landscape design, permitting and permissions needed for projects, critical area regulations, and maintenance and monitoring of BMPs. Oh, special note though, the design of projects is pretty complicated. On the residential scale, it can be done by the layperson, but there are people who spend their entire professional careers perfecting rain garden design, and we will introduce you to the key concepts of rain garden design, and then we will also give you resources so that you can do a design if you feel proficient in that area. But certainly at the end of 2 sessions, we wouldn't expect anyone to be an expert in this area without some background knowledge or some future learning, but you'll at least know the questions that you need. So what will Rainscaping stewards be able to do? They'll be able to identify the essential components of a rainscaping project and facilitate a project including planning, construction, and maintenance. They'll be able to identify the key components of site planning, permitting, project management, and maintenance, monitor and evaluate project sites that are already in, and then determine when a project site is appropriate for design and construction by a community leader, and when, like yourself, or when you really need to call in an expert. So is the Rainscaping track right for you? Well, it's right for you if you really enjoy digging in the dirt and seeing the results of your action. And even if you don't want to do the digging, if you really like to look at land and where water flows and really match projects to sites, I think this would be the right track for you. If you want to lead projects or help your community take action. And then I just wanted to note that the Rainscaping steward is not necessarily the person who has to take all the action, but really to facilitate community members taking that action. So there are a couple key components that I'm going to talk through of the capstone project: the community assessment, the engagement plan, and the Rainscaping project. And those are the 3 parts of the Rainscaping track. You will then do a reflection and a presentation about your project. So the first component, the community assessment, this is the thing that's due on January 9th for you guys. And you're going to be receiving in our next session a detailed outline of your capstone project proposal. Part 1 of that proposal outline is the assessment. So there's 2 pieces to the assessment. One is the environmental assessment, and you're going to use the neighborhood source assessment, which we learned in session 2, and then the GIS system, which we'll learn in session 3, to be able to answer the 4 questions on this page. So really zeroing in on what are the major pollution sources, what are the rainscaping techniques, what are the positive aspects of your community, and then are there opportunities for larger scale projects, and describe the change you'd like to see in your community in the next couple of years. But even after you identify the right environmental assessment, you really have to match that assessment with the people that occupy your community. And so this really quick and dirty social assessment is intended to give you the beginnings of looking at whether or how you're matching your environmental suggestions with the people. So what I'm going to suggest is that you take the time to interview at least 5 or 6 people in your community and ask them the questions that are on this slide. So you want to pick out 5 or 6 people that represent a good cross-section of your community. It might be a combination of business people and residents if you have a mixed community. You don't want to ask all your friends this question because you're going to only get the perspective that you already have. But you want to ask folks these questions, and you want to try to identify, synthesize the answers to these questions. Who lives and works and plays in your neighborhood? What do they do for recreation? What issues are most important to people? When are they likely to be in your neighborhood? And where do they hang out? Are there organized community events? All of those things will help you to match your project, environmental project, with your community. So your community engagement plan includes a minimum of 3 outreach events or communications, and the communications should not include recruiting volunteers or advertising for your project, your in-the-ground project. So your outreach wants to be sort of a separate thing, and it should focus on a specific target audience with a clearly defined thing that you want the audience to know or do as a result of your outreach. And we're going to actually spend a lot of time on this piece during session 4. Okay,